Hello everyone, welcome to TechCoderLabz. Today we are going to talk about loading SQLite data into the templates that we have created. So before we jump into today's topics, let's revise first of all something that we have built in last couple of videos. So let's get started. So in last video, first thing first, let's run the server. So as you can see, the present working directory is this, but our application is blogging. So in last video, we talked about loading the template on a given specific path, and that path is nothing but an application for us. So in our case, blogging is our workspace or say a project, and coding is nothing but a mini application or an application within that project. Now in that we created templates folder, and here we have myblogging.html file which has nothing but a static header 1 and a paragraph. But let's say we want to load all the blogs over here. So number one thing that we need to see here is that in coding folder for this project, not in encoding folder, in this project folder we have db.sqlite3. So this is project specific database that is created by default, which we haven't seen or touched so far, but today we are going to look into it. So I'm going to right click on it and say reveal in Finder. With that we can see that we have the folder, the SQLite3, db.sqlite3 file in the Finder. And if I double click on it, because I have installed SQLite viewer, I can view everything. So I'm going to do that. Let's double click on it. And with that you can see that there are already many tables which are created by default by Django for the, I believe, for the admin module, and you can see there are at least 11 tables and 15 indexes. Anyway, so we're not going to look into these existing tables, but instead we want to create one. But instead of creating table directly into SQLite, let's try a different approach. So we will create necessary models for each entity, and then we would use Python's Django servers utilities in order to have those reflected in our database. So just like in all of our videos, for this video also I've created a text file which you can refer. As soon as this video recording is complete, I'm going to post that file on the GitHub repository, which I always keep it open source. So feel free to check that out, and then you can refer to it. So we have already completed step number 1. We looked into it and we understood that there are some administration related tables into the existing SQLite. Now we want to add new table which is in a way in alignment with our project's requirement. So in our example or in our project, we are working on coding mini application, and we would have multiple coding blogs, let's say. So let's say if your project is into different direction, feel free to choose a name, table name or model name based on your requirement. So in here I'm going to create a model. So by default you can see there are so many files, and out of which one of the file is models.py. So I'm going to open it over here. In this file right now, it's nothing but one import statement which is stating that django.db import models, right? So here we are going to define our data model. So let me go ahead and create a class which would define the blog or the data model that I want, and it is going to inherit models dot model. Now in this, let's say for the blog, I would need a title, the author of the blog, and the content of the blog. So these are the three things. It can have even more attributes, but to start with, we will pick these three fields and work on it. So let's provide the name of the attribute, and then we say that models dot character field having maximum length equals 255. So with this, we have defined the title attribute of the model, data model, blog, and in that we are saying that it can have maximum at max 255 characters. Just like that, we are going to copy paste it for the author, and for the last thing, which is content, for that we have there's no limit on it. So for that, I'll say text field. I haven't tried this, so let's see how it goes. So with this, we have defined the data model. Whenever you are done defining the data model, all you have to do is make sure that you go inside your project. So I'm going, as you can see, present working directory is not the blogging. So let's go over there. So cd blogging project. Now that I'm inside the blogging project, I can run necessary commands. So the command that we may want to run is python, and then in that manage.py, like that's our base Python file with which we'll be able to do necessary things. In this example, we want to do the migrations of the data model, okay, so I'll say make migrations, and for which application. In our example, it is coding application, but depending upon your application, make sure that you choose the appropriate application name. And with that, if I run it, it is going to perform, and here it says that it has created a blog model, and you can see that there is a green indicator over here, and there are 3 files which has changed. So one file that has changed is this. The other file is nothing but the text file, and the third file is under the migrations, which is this. So if I click on it, you will be able to see the auto-generated code. So there is no need to change this. As you can see, it is generated by Django itself, and it is kind of internal. So let's not try to touch it or try to modify it. Let's keep it as is. Of course, so this file which is generated is inside the coding module or coding application. It's not yet applied on the DB. So right click, if I say reveal in Finder and double click on this one, if I take a look at the tables, there are okay. Now we are going to run python manage migrate, which will take care of migrating the changes related to the data models which are specified in the migration, and from the migrations file it's going to add into the database. Okay, so you can see that it applied the migration here. Now if I go to SQLite 3, reveal in Finder and double click on the database, in here you will be able to see one extra table. Last time when we opened the SQLite, it was 11 tables, now it is 12 tables. In this one, the name of the table was, hold on a second, I forgot, right? It's start with, yeah, here it is, coding, my coding blogs. So now we go to browse data, and in that we select that table, and in here we can add the records. Okay, so we have added 3 records. Now I'm going to save and close the database. So we are going to again verify, double clicking on the SQLite 3, switching to browse table, browse data, and in that opening the table which is this, and you can see we have 3 records here. Closing it again. Now we have Number one, created the models, performed the migrations, and created the table inside the db.sqlite 3 database, and in that we also added 3 records. What is next? The next thing is we want to show it inside the template that we are using. Correct? So first thing first, we need to inject the data to this HTML file. So that part we have to write it inside the views because we are rendering the template from here. Correct? So this is where we are going to modify the code, and in here we will start off with loading the data models or importing the data models. So from dot, in here the moment we hit the dot means the current directory, in that we have models, and from all the models we want to import which model? The model we created, which is my coding blogs. So we've imported my coding blogs. Let's say all blogs. So we are going to fetch, there is no filter because at the moment we know that there are only 3 records. So my coding blogs, and in that we have objects, and in that we want to get all the objects. So with this is kind of a get query which is going to give us all the records. Of course, in the production, don't do this. Always make sure that you apply necessary filters. So with this we have all of the blogs here. So I'm going to create a context dictionary, and in that I'll create, let's say, all blogs key, and for that key I will supply all blogs here. Now that we have the context dictionary, let's supply this dictionary into the template render method. So if you look carefully, the moment I open, it says provide context string to any. So here we have already created the context. So let's supply the context, and with that we have supplied the context. And the next parameter is request, but right now there is no need of supplying the request. For us, context is enough. Okay, so the moment you supply the context, that context would be accessible here. So in the HTML, let's say we iterate through all of the blogs and we load all the blogs and show it in the HTML. So for that, to inject Python within the HTML, this is the syntax that we have to use: bracket and then percentage size. Here we are going to use for loop for blog in all the blogs. What is the variable name that we have used here? It is all blogs. So all blogs. So it's going to be available with that all blogs. Let's make sure that we and the for loop as well. So and for. So with this we have specified that this is where our loop ends. And of course there is one typo here. It has to be in curly brackets. So let's not make mistakes like I did. Next is you can use plain HTML also inside this. So here I will use now blog.title, and let's be double sure that it's the same attribute: title, author and content. So we go back to HTML, and in that we use the same set of attributes: paragraph, and in that we say blog.author. Okay, so of course authored by, and then name of the author. Here in the div tag, let's add the content. So blog.content. So with this we have written a piece of code which is going to iterate through all the blogs and show. But how are these blogs accessible inside the template? Because we are supplying the context from the views. So let's revise this one more time. Number one, we created the model. Number two, we performed the migrations and it created a file. And then from the migration we executed migrate command. So migration file. With the help of that, we were able to add the table into the database. After creating that, we opened the database directly, and inside that we added the records. After adding the records, we updated views and fetched all the blogs and supplying that as a context to the template. And in the template, we updated the code in such a way that we iterate through all of the blogs and display the value for each blog. That's what we have done. Now it's time to run the application. So to run the application, we have run server. So Python manage run server. And with that, we have application up and running. Let's open the browser, and in that, here it's not going to work. So we have to open /coding, and you can see that we are able to see all of the blogs that we have added in the database. So I hope that with this you would be able to add, update and delete the records in the database, of course from the SQLite database directly, but in future we are going to talk about how to do that within the web application designed and developed by the Python. So that's something we are going to cover in the next video. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, subscribe button, and see you in the next video. Bye bye. Have a good day.